hosts, guests, and callers who are responsible for their content and do not reflect the opinions of In Touch Radio or its staff.
Tampa Bay Politics. I'm your host, Angela Birdsong. Now, if anybody has been paying attention, we know that there's a lot of action at school boards all across the country, and Hillsborough County is to be included in that. And I am so happy to have one of our sitting school board members. Her name is Karen Perez. Thank you, Karen, for coming.
Thank you for having me today.
Your fans are here. Okay, Karen, we always start at the beginning.
Yes.
Now, where were you born?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
Brooklyn, that's where I was born.
Yes, Brooklyn in
New
the
York,
house.
New York. Okay, what part of Brooklyn?
Well, Williamsburg area, near the Williamsburg
Bed-Stuy
line.
over
yes,
here. Okay.
Yes.
The funny thing is, my mother actually gave birth to me in Elmhurst General Hospital in Queens,
Nice.
but we were living in Bed-Stuy.
Yeah.
Okay, so where did you end up going to school?
Well, my mom wanted me to go to college here in Florida, and she knew that you had to be a resident at least a year, to be able to go into school here in Florida, without having to pay out of state tuition type.
I see.
So,
Okay.
so I came here and I completed my last year of high school here at King High School.
King, still
Mhm.
around.
Yeah, King
We
High
got
School.
our
in the house.
engineer is a Brooklynite and they
King
also
High
went to
School
King.
alum. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
still in New York. I went to Newtown High School because I was still there.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yes.
And so you went to King, and then where'd you go?
And then from there, USF,
University of South Florida. What'd you study
Yeah.
there?
social work.
Social work. You went into your field.
Yes, yes. I have a bachelor's in social work and a master's in social work, and I went to work from there at Northside Mental Health.
Which is still there, I believe.
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And how long did you stay at Northside?
Well, I was there with Northside, partnering with Hillsborough Kids, which was the adoption and foster care system here
Yes.
in Hillsborough.
They were there until just recently, right?
Correct.
Those girl kids.
Yeah,
All right.
then they were taken over, but I was there for 6 years, and until 2006. And then I went over to the federal government, the Tampa VA.
I see. And you're still with the VA today,
I
right?
am still with the Tampa VA.
So how many years do you have in?
15.
15 years. Okay, and what are you doing at the VA?
I'm a social worker.
Okay. So are you working with all types of veterans?
Well, formerly I was working on campus with anyone coming in, veterans who were still not in our system, helping them enroll. And now I'm working in home-based primary care. So home-based primary care is, as a social worker, I go to the veterans' homes who are not able to come to the VA any longer for their care. We have a whole team. It's a practitioner, a primary care doctor, a KT, a dietitian, a social worker, a psychologist, a RN, a ARNP, and a psychiatrist that go into the home of the patients, on a weekly basis to see these patients now and provide the care that they no longer could come into the VA system of care to receive.
So are you at this point a supervisor?
No. I'm just with the team.
So what part of the team are you on? Or do you do?
I'm the social worker on that
On
team.
that team.
On that care team.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. So then you decide what care is needed.
Correct. Along with the rest of the team, we have a once a week meeting, and we discuss the patients and to see how they're doing, what care is needed for them, to support that veteran and that family, in the community.
I see. Okay. So How did you decide to start running for office?
So in 2018, I noticed that the suicide rate in our children was escalating, and for me that was alarming. And
Now, how did you come to notice that? Because you have children.
not only do I have children, I have a private practice.
Oh,
That
you
I've
have a
had.
private
Yeah,
practice too.
Embracing Changes Center for Wellness, which I've had since 2007. So I've had a private practice in which I see children. My youngest patient right now is 3, and my oldest patient in my clinic is 92.
Wow.
So I see from crib to geriatric in that clinic. And so I do a lot of research, when it comes to patient care, to the children, and I also work with the court system regarding the school to prison pipeline as well.
Okay, so the school system actually sends you clients, or I
No.
should say, the prison system.
The court system
The
does.
court system
Yeah.
does.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I'm a certified sentence mitigation specialist and a certified forensics counselor. So I was noticing that the suicide rate, the attempted suicide, and the suicide rate where someone completed suicide was escalating, and it was alarming to me.
And from what age would you say it
Well,
begins?
the youngest age in 2018 that was reported was an 8-year-old little boy.
My gosh, and how do they even accomplish that?
Well, my question was, at 8 years old, I didn't even know what suicide was.
Right.
Let alone to be able to even complete and go through with suicide. So it was alarming to me.
So he actually he committed suicide.
Correct. He went through with committing suicide. And what would drive an 8-year-old who has their whole life ahead of them to want to even take their life?
Right.
So when I read into the article, it was that there was bullying taking place.
Which is in the center of a lot of student issues.
Correct.
Mhm.
Whether it's body shaming, whether it's, the clothes that the student is wearing, whether, that there's, the students are just keeping them apart from being, part of a group, and where that behavior is learned, is mainly among adults, that they watch, not necessarily in their lives, but when students watch other adults in their environment,
And I guess environment has to include YouTube, TikTok,
Yes.
all the social media.
All of
That's
social
in their
media.
environment too.
Yeah. I know Facebook has been brought up on the fact that, body shaming for young ladies has taken place, and there's a major
It's a
concern
huge
about it.
issue.
Yes.
It's a huge issue because they're
Yes.
bombarded by this every day. It's a daily assault.
It is. It is.
So you saw that the suicide rate was ticking up, and that gave you the impetus to say, well, what can I do?
Exactly. And bringing my knowledge and profession to the table, that voice, that has never, ever been brought to a school board table, was going to be a push for our students, a voice for our students regarding their mental health. And to be able to, sit with the superintendent, to be able to sit with the issues, especially with the funding that came down from Marjorie Stoneman Act.
Well, let's back up a little bit because the first thing you ran for was not school board.
Yeah.
What was that?
It was State House.
Okay, we can't
Yes.
forget you were a state house candidate. All right. And what district did you run for?
I ran in District 60. Since then, a lot of redistricting has taken place, but District
year
60
was
at that time, it was 2006.
Okay. And then you ran, and who did you run against?
It was Dr. Ed Homan.
Ed Holman.
Mhm.
Now you don't know how long he had been in that seat, do you?
He had been in that term two terms at that time.
Okay, all right.
He was incumbent.
And so you ran against him, and how did you do?
I did awesome. Although I didn't win, I lost by 3,000 votes. I feel that was a strength. And,
Yes.
you know, for me,
That's a success story.
yeah, any experience that, you know, somebody steps into and
First
you know,
time run.
it's first time run. Yes.
Okay.
And, you know, anytime a person goes out of their normal box and attempts anything, especially through the lens of my profession, is, through the strengths perspective, is a win-win always, because I was able to meet so many people in our community.
True.
So many supporters.
You stepped out of your box.
Yeah.
And you know what? You make a difference because you bring your issues to the table.
Correct.
That's what a lot of candidates. That's why during the primary season, I encourage people to get out there, see everybody that's running because they have a voice.
Yes.
That you want to hear.
Definitely.
So after that, how long was it before you ran for school board?
Well, that was in 2006, and now in 2018 is when I decided to throw my head back in the ring.
Okay, now that's when I met you. Yes. And I saw you. Yeah, for some reason the first race went past me, but I remember Karen Perez running. Who was your campaign manager?
It was a good friend of mine's. Her name is Sandra Acevedo.
Sandra Acevedo, and she has a history in the Spanish community, right?
Yes,
the Puerto Rican community.
In the Latino community, yes,
okay.
definitely.
And
yes.
her mother used to do a parade, right?
The Puerto Rican Day Parade.
The Puerto Rican Day Parade.
Yes.
So she had a lot of contacts.
Yeah. And not just that, it was great. She was like a mother figure to me.
Okay.
She was great in, then directing me and keeping me, focused and making sure that, everything I did, that I remembered, it was for the kids, for their families, for this community.
Yes, she kept you on task with your message.
Definitely.
Well, that's so important when you're running. And she did something right because you won.
I did.
Yeah.
I
and
did.
you won the primary, right?
Well, I came in a runoff.
It was a runoff.
In the primary.
So you ran off against Shake Washington, correct?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Mm-hmm.
And then you won that runoff.
And then I won the general election.
Then you won the general election.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. So that was a pretty tough race to win.
It was, because it was countywide.
I see.
Right.
Okay. And so you have since then run again.
In the.
Or you're running again now.
Right,
This is your
right.
first run.
Correct.
Since the first time,
Correct.
first win. Okay.
Right.
And how long do you stay as a board member? Is it a 4-year term?
4 years. 4-year term.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's go over who is on the board.
So it's 7 board members.
Okay.
It's myself, Shake Washington, Stacy Hahn, Nadia Combs, Jessica Vaughn, Snively, Member Snively, and myself.
Okay,
7.
there you go.
Oh, and Lynn Gray.
And Lynn Gray. And
yeah.
Lynn Gray is the president right now, right?
No.
Who's the president?
The chair
The
is
chair is
Nadia Combs.
Nadia Combs.
Yes.
Yes, and
Mhm.
she's a first timer.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about what's going on with all you folks down there at the school board.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right. See you in a little bit on the other side.
This
this is Angela Birdsong, and I'm so proud to say I have my very first sponsor for Tampa Bay Politics. His name is Sam Cohen of Attorneys First. So if you are an attorney, please give him the opportunity to quote you for errors and omissions insurance. His number is 727-799-4321. That's 727-799-4321.
Hello, Tampa Bay. This is Ainsley Doe with Florida Realty Unlimited. As a broker with 15 years experience and a veteran of the Navy, I do understand your needs. Real estate prices are up. So if you're thinking of selling your home, call me for a free market analysis. If you're planning to buy a home, please call me for a free buyer's consultation. For more information, call Ainsley Doe at 813-546-1954. Once again, the number is 813-546-1954. Or check my ad out in the In Touch You.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here-for-you.
Hi, this is Angela Birdsong with Tampa Bay Politics. And not only can you catch us on InTouchNews.com every Wednesday at 11 a.m., we now have a website at TampaBayPoliticsPodcast.com. We are on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Stitcher, which you can log in at any time and listen to Tampa Bay Politics. Are listening to Tampa Bay Politics. I do this show every Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. So I hope you will turn into In Touch News or just look for me on Facebook under Tampa Bay Politics. I am so happy to have in the house Karen Perez. She is one of our sitting school board members.
Yes.
And she has graciously agreed to come and talk to us today. And you know what? There's a lot going on at the school board.
There is.
You know what? Let's first talk about an incident that happened with you and one of the school board members. And I thought it was very insulting. Can you go over that with us?
Well, what took place was during our presenting of our maps. She presented map E, I presented map F, and it was for redistricting. And, I ran countywide and won by 30,000 votes, my seat. And I'm the first Latina, actually, ever elected for the school district to win countywide. And she made the comment that I won my seat by chance. So for me,
after what we just explained, that it was a drag out fight between you and Shake Washington, that was no easy win.
correct.
Okay.
Correct. But when we look at the demographics of the Hillsborough County itself, the Latinos are all over Hillsborough County. We have them from one end of Hillsborough to the next.
Absolutely, because let's think about the Waimama area.
Correct.
Okay. Then you have West Tampa.
West Tampa, Plant City. We have them here in New Tampa. We have them out in Lutz, down Del Mabry. We just have them everywhere. The Latinos are 30% of our Hillsborough County population.
And let's talk about there are Afro-Cubans.
Yes, absolutely.
There are African Americans. There are Africans represented in all of the islands,
Correct.
including the Spanish-speaking Caribbean, Dominican Republic. Let's remember, half the island is Haitian, half the island is the Dominican Republic.
Correct.
So we also have to remember that Black people are represented
Correct.
as Latinos.
Right.
Yes.
And Hillsborough County students represent the black students are 40,808 of the black students represent the population of Hillsborough County school students. So when we look
And
at
say that percentage again.
40,880 of our Hillsborough County students are black.
Okay.
So
Is that 400,000? 40,000.
40,000.
40,000. Okay.
40,000.
All right.
And right now, but also when the voice that I brought to the table, people went to their polls intentionally and voted. My seat wasn't a lottery ticket. I didn't win with a lottery ticket. It wasn't a raffle. It was an intentional vote by the people. And the vote of the people is their voice.
Absolutely.
Not a chance. And mental health affects every nationality, every demographic, whether you're rich, poor, middle class. Mental health doesn't choose or select who it's going to affect. So for me, that statement really resonated of the disconnect that this board has with the crisis of mental health and our students.
And I have to hand it to you. You made that part of your platform. No one could come and see Karen Perez speak without knowing that mental health was your main issue.
Correct.
So there are people. So I can't say you won by chance, because people knew what they were voting for when they got Karen Perez.
Correct. And I've made it, just my point at every school board meeting, everything, that whenever they bring up any issue about students, that I always redirect them to look at how the mental health of our students and their families, because if a student comes to school with mental health issues, the family is dealing with that student. Or, there has to be other issues underlining.
Or the family situation, environment could be causing them to be stressed out.
Correct. So, so mental health is, number one, and has been. And it's just not at this district level. It's on a national level. If you watch anything happening on a national level, they speak to the mental health of our nation.
And what's so scary about it, this is before COVID.
Correct.
So then you put COVID on top of that.
Correct.
And then you have the parents are at their wits' end, having maybe 2 or 3 kids. They're trying to homeschool.
Correct.
Work. I mean, it's a nightmare.
This morning, and I should have written it down, but I didn't. They spoke to how many children have lost parents to COVID, both parents to COVID.
So now you have orphans.
Correct. And it was over 152,000. And I neglected to write down the number. But, our students...
Hey, all we have to know is it's a lot.
It's a lot of students now orphaned, and that their relatives, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or even their own siblings over the age of 18 are now raising these children.
So we have siblings who are becoming parents. We have grandparents who are having to step into it again.
Right. So we have intergenerational parenting that is taking place because of what happened with COVID. And so, when we're looking at the mental wellness of our students, I have got to battle and fight and put on my boxing gloves every day for funding for this district, But my voice for mental health, for the dollars, for our students, it resonates for any board across Florida. And when we produce that template for the mental health, then it becomes that template for any state in the nation.
Now, give me your wish list. If you could have the things that you really desire for the kids to have, what would some of those things be?
Well, right now, the Representative Valdez was carrying
Who
a bill.
used to be on our school board.
Correct.
So she
Yeah.
probably knows what's going on.
Correct.
Okay.
So Representative Valdez has carried a bill that passed in the House, but fell in the Senate. She's going to carry that bill again
Okay.
this year for mental health days for our students. And that's going to impact so many of our students.
Now, how would a person even access a mental health day?
So when you call, so the difference, there's many states that have the mental health days, and the students just call and say, I want to take a mental health, just like we do, with work. We just
Okay.
call in and say, we're going to take a mental health day. But what's going to be different with Hillsborough County Schools is that when they call in to take a mental health day, we're going to provide them a list of resources that they can access for their parents, whether they're facing homelessness, food insecurity, whether that's mental health needs. We're going to provide them there on the spot, that list of resources. That's going to be the game changer for Hillsborough County Schools and for our families here in this district.
Now, if a parent is listening and they have needs right now, can they call up the school system
Oh, absolutely.
and ask for help?
And they could also call 211.
Okay.
And 211 also knows our partners in the community that provide those services.
So
to
that's the
Hillsborough.
crisis center.
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And those calls go right into them,
Correct.
and they have all the resources to give a person.
Absolutely. We work very closely as a partner with 211 and also in partnership with several other agencies in the community to provide services for our families, our students. It's been an amazing journey to work for the mental wellness of our students here in Hillsborough County.
Now, you're not actually a social worker in Hillsborough County, so are you working with the social workers, talking to them?
I'm a licensed clinical social worker in the state of Florida,
Okay.
and I'm also a certified supervisor for the state of Florida to supervise the licensure of social workers. But I work closely with the Department of Social Services in our Hillsborough County schools, also with the superintendent, but also with the process for the Medicaid dollars, because when I first came on to, as a board member, the Medicaid was not being billed correctly. And as a person,
Now, I work with Medicare and Medicaid primarily with seniors, but I know that Medicaid is for the poor, for any age.
correct, right,
And I know that half the babies in America are born on Medicaid.
correct, and they're provided services through Medicaid, even in the schools. But if we don't,
That I did not know.
Yeah,
So
but-
how can they use Medicaid at school?
so because the school has access to their records, but if the dollars are not being billed, Medicaid does not reimburse the school system, and
I
therefore
see.
the children, whether it's for their learning needs, equipment that they need and require, but that billing process has to take place. And so when I realized that our professionals were not billing correctly, I got down on the billing process, and now our billing is higher in the millions than it was when I first was elected.
Well, we know something. This, Hillsborough County School Board needs all the money it can get its hands on.
Absolutely.
Because
So-
you guys have money problems down there.
Oh, absolutely. And every dollar counts. And so, when I look at those dollars, I look at what's coming in, what is not, what's being affected, and how we can make that change.
So, deviating a little bit over to finances, well, we'll talk about that more when we come back, because we know that was in the news.
Okay.
That you all had a big deficit. But we're happy. We're so happy you're on the board, because you're doing fantastic things for our children.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. We'll come back in a little bit.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
You've been injured, you deserve help from an attorney that knows how to handle your injury claim. This is attorney Clinton Paris from the Law Office of Clinton Paris. For over a decade, I worked for insurance companies, and now I use that knowledge and experience to help people that have been injured. For a free consultation, call me, attorney Clinton Paris, at 813-413-7924. That's 813-413-7924, or at parislawoffice.com. At the Law Office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt. Offices, Riverview.
Thinking politics? Tampa Bay Politics is on every Wednesday at 11 a.m. with Angela Birdsong. Tune in right here on In Touch Radio.
Hey, we're back. I am Angela Birdsong, your host for Tampa Bay Politics, every Wednesday morning, 11 a.m. on In Touch News. So glad you are joining us. If you're on Facebook, don't forget to share. All right. Our guest today is Karen Perez, and she is one of our sitting school board members. So happy to have her in the house. Yay!
Thank you.
Okay. So, Karen, right now, the financial issues have been abated. They're pretty much settled now, right?
Well, yeah, we're in the black right now. And,
Amen.
I was able to get the vote on the financial advisory board, the community financial advisory board. So we got that started. So now we have in the community a committee who's helping us with our finances.
Oh,
so
that's good.
I know it's fantastic because it's made up of CPAs, of financial advisors. It's fantastic, and the CFO sits with them, and we're currently in the black, and in February the CFO is going to provide some information about keeping us in the black. So we're excited about that right now.
Wonderful. Okay, so there was a big meeting not too long ago about redistricting.
Yes.
Besides the fact that you were insulted, there were some other things going on. Okay, so which map won and what does it cover?
So the awesome thing about it is that the map I presented, Map F, won. Yay! Thank you,
Map
everybody,
F.
for your support and always. So what it did was that it allowed the number of schools through Map F to be significantly decreased. There was one district that had 58 schools by itself, and then one of the districts only had 31 schools. So what Map F provided was an equalization of the distribution of those schools.
Okay.
So between all the districts, it's going to be between 40 to 51 schools, so that makes it a lot more equal and not so cumbersome on each board member to carry, one board member a small amount, whereas another board member had an overwhelming amount of schools.
Now, when you say districts, we are talking about the single member districts on the board.
Districts.
Now,
correct.
first of all, how many countywide seats are there?
There's 2 countywide seats.
And right now you hold one.
Right.
And who is the other person?
Member Gray.
Lynn Gray is now countywide. All right, so let's leave those 2 off the board for a minute.
Okay.
All right, so Shake Washington, he sits in, which seat is that?
District 5.
District 5, and that covers basically the center of Hillsborough County, right?
Correct. And he's the one who had 58 schools.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
And some of them are failing.
Correct. But we were able to get at least 14 back, up to passing this year,
wonderful.
which was fantastic.
Okay.
And we're working on the other ones, for this year to get them as well. So
all right,
we're trying to
school, the
change
grades,
them.
the scores are coming up.
Correct.
What do you attribute that success to?
Well, you know what we are attributing it to is not for the students not having to take their that end of the year exam. I think
I'm not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing.
well, with all the exams that they take during the year,
Yes.
I believe, for me as a school board member, but also a Latina, where Spanish is my first language, I believe that helps our students.
Because really it should be their progress throughout the entire year, as
Correct.
opposed to bam, one test and you
Correct.
fail or you
Right.
sink or swim based on that test result, basically.
Right. Well, I'm not a great test taker.
Okay.
I get test anxiety, and for a lot of the students who receive those major tests at the end of the year, a lot of them fail not because they don't know their information, but because of that test anxiety. And, a lot of parents report that the kids don't sleep, they can't eat, they get sick physically, just before a major test like that. So I think eliminating that test for our students did them a big favor, and a lot of them are doing much better.
Oh, well, that's
not having that
really, really good
anxiety
to hear.
for having to take that test.
All right, so Shake Washington's district. Do you know the borderlines at all for him?
Well, with the new map, that the map is now out,
Yes.
and so you would have to look at the new maps to look at
To actually see,
Yeah.
but
'Cause the map started the moment that gavel was hit at the end of that meeting.
okay. So in a single member, we also have Nadia Combs.
Correct.
And I believe she's out like Odessa as part of her district. She's in the
Correct.
northern part of
Correct.
Hillsborough County.
Correct.
Now, did her district change very much, would you say?
Just slightly.
Just slightly.
Mhm, yes.
Okay. And then we have Snively.
Correct.
Where is Snively? South Tampa?
She's up in in the south end of the Hillsborough County.
Okay. Does she have Apollo Beach? That part of
Correct.
Okay,
And
she's
she has
going
some of
far
Plant
south.
City, a little bit of all that.
Okay. And then
There's District
Han.
3.
Where's
Member Han? She's in West Tampa area, around that area.
Okay, so Han has West Tampa.
No,
Okay.
no. She has part of that area, where member Combs breaks off, Hans begins.
Okay.
Yeah. Over there where where the parade, the route for the Gasparilla parade goes through and everything else, that's member Hans district.
That's member Hans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Near the MacDill Air Force Base, all that area there, it's member Hans.
Okay, so she has a good part of the city of Tampa.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see. Okay. So how many schools would you say is in Hahn's district now?
So in District 1, there was 31 schools. Now there's 40. In District 2, there was 39. Now there's 41. In District 3, there was 40, and it maintains 40. In District 4, there was 49. Now there are 45. And in District 5, there were 58. Now there's 51.
Okay, who's in 5 again?
Member Washington.
Washington is in 5. So he was overloaded with schools.
He was.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that there's definitely some
so
equalization
right
of the different districts.
So what it does, the map F was drawn with the Florida's Fair District Act in mind. You know,
I see.
With the equalization. But yes.
That's good because, you know, all the schools want to see a school board member show up.
Correct.
And they want a little attention. If you're spread thin like that, it's
Correct.
impossible to get to all the schools. So,
Correct.
you know, you can't, and then you can't blame them if it's an impossible situation.
And it avoided gerrymandering in the area as well.
Okay. Yeah, because we know with a lot of these school boards, it's become very political. Unfortunately, everything from now. Tell me this: are you seeing book banning at all? Anybody trying to do that?
They are, but there's a process for that. I know in Palm Beach that there was some book banning, but the books were placed back into the libraries within 5 days.
Okay. I know some of the librarians are really standing up against this because they want diverse literature in the libraries to represent the children.
And a lot of the literature that's attempting to be banned are from our black literary just
authors.
Not just authors, but, you know, there are black literary, you know, the writers, they're people that we hold, writers that we hold in high esteem, like, you know,
Pulitzer Prize winners
yes.
like Toni Morrison. They want to ban Beloved.
Yes,
all right, I will tell
those,
everybody,
yeah.
buy your friends and family a gift, Beloved.
Yeah, they're amazing, you know, scholars that, you know, not only were they literary geniuses, but they were also professors of literature. You know, they were just not, you know, folks of pen and ink, but they also taught our
also
students,
professors,
you know, how to be incredible writers as well.
Well, this leads right into the whole CRT, critical race theory,
correct.
Issue, which all of us know is a course only taught to law students on the college level.
Exactly.
Okay, so the only reason you would bring that up is to get votes or to rile the people up.
Or if you took a course in Africana Studies, or, you know, if you took something, you know, to that effect. You know, if you intentionally took a course in CRT, but, you know, not in our high schools, not in our schools. It's not
are you
something taught.
teaching CRT as a curriculum?
No, we're not.
Okay.
You know, it's not something that's taught in Hillsborough County schools.
And, you know, the thing about it is, if you ask someone what is CRT, you're probably going to get different definitions depending on whoever you talk to.
But the thing is also that's with the parents bringing it up, now the students are curious.
Okay.
You know, what is CRT and why are our parents attempting to, you know, shut it down? Why can't we learn about my black friends' you know, history,
right?
Or, you know, what is it that they're trying to quiet? What waters are so all the parents are doing is stirring the waters, because, you know, the minute you tell a child you can't do this,
they're going to want to do it.
They're going to want to
know
about it.
They're going to want to know what is
they're
it,
gonna
Beloved.
Know.
Why can't we learn about segregation, Jim Crow, slavery?
Correct. Yeah, and I mentioned
this
that.
This is our history.
I mentioned that during one board meeting, you know, to Member Snively, is that when you try to shut it up, the child is going to want to know what is it that you're trying to hide.
You know what? This is going to make children really want to know their black history. Yes,
exactly.
because they're going to be, those books are available to you online, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think they're going to, what the whole thing is, they want to get votes. That's what it is. We saw what happened in Virginia with Youngkin. He ran on that as his big campaign issue, and it worked for him. So unfortunately, that's going to make them want to do it all over the country.
Correct.
Now, who was the board member who brought up CRT?
Board member Melissa Snively.
And what was her case?
Well, she wanted to reflect, what the rest of the country was doing, but it was shut down here.
I know that Sheikh Washington gave a very impassioned speech.
Correct.
Because he actually lived through Jim Crow.
He did.
In Tampa, Florida, where where there were black and white fountains.
Correct.
So, if you all have a chance, look that up, and you will see that speech that he gave during the board meeting. And that'll shake you up. No pun intended.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. You know what? Do you want people to contact you either as a board member or as a social worker?
Yes.
What's the number?
Either one. 813-493-7705. And I am running for re-election.
Are you now?
And my website is keepkarenperez.com.
And that's KEEP?
Keep KEEP, Karen KAREN, Perez PEREZ.com. And your support would be truly, truly appreciated for me to continue, advocating for our children
and
their
that's
mental wellness.
November 2022.
Correct.
It's coming up. Are we ready for a break, Mr. Bezel? All right, break time.
So believe me, 100 down, 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay, call Ricky, he coming. He taking care of state of Florida, grab him in the sundown. 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-7425. Never word from the point forward, just reply. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. Medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers are not network are trained in handling auto injury claims. You need the best medical treatment and recovery. Now 1-844-361-RICK. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky. Hello, Tampa Bay. This is Ainsley Doe with Florida Realty Unlimited. As a broker with 15 years experience and a veteran of the Navy, I do understand your needs. Real estate prices are up. So if you're thinking of selling your home, call me for a free market analysis. If you're planning to buy a home, please call me for a free buyer's consultation. For more information, call Ainsley Doe at 813-546-1954. Once again, the number is 813-546-1954. Or check my ad out in the In Touch email.
This is Angela Birdsong, and I'm so proud to say I have my very first sponsor for Tampa Bay Politics. His name is Sam Cohen of Attorneys First. So if you are an attorney, please give him the opportunity to quote you for errors and omissions insurance. His number is 727-799-4321. That's 727-799-4321. Tampa Bay Politics, your host, Angela Birdsong, that's me. And in the house is Karen Perez, one of our school board members. Yay, she's here. Okay, now we're going into 2022. So what you got on the program for us over there?
Well, people are talking about CRT. They're talking about, the mask. But not a lot of people are speaking about the folks that are affected by the increase in the housing, the issues that are directly affecting our families today. Evictions.
And that is the cost of housing in Hillsborough County.
Affordable housing can't be found. No, when families were calling me to say, hey, my rent is going up by $400, $500, who has that?
Who has that?
Nope. If your mortgage company wrote you a letter and said, hey, by the way, your mortgage is going up by $500, you wouldn't be able to even handle.
Yeah, we went through that in 2008.
The concerns that their families are having when people are voicing things like CRT, it's just not,
that is not our issue.
No, evictions affecting our students and their families today. We had over 10,000 notices for evictions. And this is
from students?
For here in Hillsborough County.
Okay.
So those evictions include students in those households. So these evictions are the first step towards homeless families. We already in Hillsborough County have 6,600 homeless students in our schools. When you look at the issues that really affect our students today, we have food insecurities. A lot of the students go home to nothing on the table. Their parents are working 2 and 3 jobs at minimum wage just to keep the lights on and a roof over their children's heads. The discord that our students see on a daily basis, and then we wonder why our students act out in school.
That's right. I mean, this is all these things are stressors.
It is.
I mean, one of the most traumatic things that could happen to a child is to be evicted.
And then they come to school hungry. The buses are late because we don't have enough workers, in transportation, the drivers to get their students to school to get breakfast. And that's probably the only meal they've had from the time they left school to the time they get to school the next day.
All of these situations are really highlighted during COVID.
Correct.
Because they said, hey, we got to still give out meals during the day.
Correct.
Because this is the only food the children are eating.
Correct. And when the superintendent, said, the parents have to get to the schools, I spoke with the superintendent. I said, but a lot of these parents don't have a way to get to the school. We really need to get a bus to get these meals over to their area.
Yes.
Especially our high need areas. Working with our community partners to address the anger issues. But when TikTok is fueling the fire, giving the kids these, what are they called when they're giving them these challenges. Go destroy your schools. Go do this.
Yes. That's right.
Go beat up, somebody. Go. It's crazy.
Yeah, they had damage in schools over that.
Terrible damages. So our children are being fueled by their environment, by the stressors that they're dealing with, by what they're watching the adults in their space do. When the adults in their spaces are coming out yelling and screaming at elected officials, showing this disrespect, the kids go to school and say, well,
my parents do it.
Not just the parents, but the adults. Everybody's doing this. They're watching upper leadership, showing all this, calling each other name, calling each other out of their names.
The things that was really hurtful about Trump was how crass he was, using vulgar language. I mean, I really have to hand it to Nancy Pelosi. She does not want to have that kind of bad behavior in the Congress, because they are setting an example. We want all of our elected officials to set a good example.
You have to ask yourself, when you're in front of someone who is angry, who is you're yourself in your spirit, you start getting more anxious.
Absolutely.
But when you're around someone who is quiet in demeanor, in speech, in tone, and talks to you respectfully.
Tell me a little bit about this concept of bringing mindfulness into schools.
Yes. So
how do you feel about that?
So I'm a big advocate for that. A lot of our schools have those mindfulness rooms, not just for the students, but also for the teachers. So instead of suspending the students, sending them back out to the street,
where nothing good is going to happen.
Nothing good. Absolutely. The parents are probably not home, and they're going to be, unsupervised.
Left to their own devices.
Yeah. So, the mindfulness room helps them, be able to meditate, to cool down, to be able to. There's a lot of students in the schools that have the mindfulness room that ask to go.
I see.
Like, hey,
this helps a lot with bullying, because bullies usually have big problems.
Correct. So I want to continue that work. I want to continue the work for our students, the work that they need and they're going to need in order to make it into adulthood. With some coping skills that are going to help them, because fighting is not going to help them in adulthood.
Oh, absolutely not. It's not going to help them right now.
No. I mean, look at sometimes at a traffic light, somebody gets out their car and beats up the person in front of them because they were going too slow. Or, that's
road rage. It's real.
It's just not.
We're looking at the devolution of the culture.
Yes.
It's affecting every area of our lives.
Every area of our lives. And when as a seated elected official, I can't have respect for you. That speaks loudly to how we're evolving instead of we're disevolving instead of evolving.
Yes. And you know what? The children are watching.
The children are going to mimic anything and everything we do
that they see.
Mm-hmm. So, for me, when something happens, I'm just a person anyway that's very calm.
Yes, you are.
I've just always been that way.
But I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm saying, oh my gosh, if I was a child and I'm watching people fighting on television, I'm watching the politicians going at each other, it's a rough world they're growing up in. And add to that COVID and all the stress that includes. I mean, it's a tough time.
Correct. So, I want everybody listening to, especially when they get into their space at night, to put on, when the moment they walk into their door, put on some music that is just
calming, soothing.
At night. In the morning when they wake up, put on that calming music, and you're going to see a change, not just in yourself, but also in your children. They're not going to have that anxiety walking out the door. They're going to want to come home and be still and, just sit and be able to be calm. It makes such a big difference. And not play it loud, but very softly in the background, where it's almost not noticeable, but just enough. And you're going to see a difference, even in the babies. From baby up. It's just incredible what changing the environment for your children can do.
Combating the other.
Correct.
Now, we got a couple of minutes left. You want to talk about your campaign a little bit and why we ought to vote for Karen Perez again?
Like I mentioned, I would love to continue, with my community partners, to strengthen, our children's world when it comes to their mental wellness. I was able to start a program in Hillsborough County Schools to get our children on the path to the professional place when it comes to the mental health professions. And I want to continue that work. I want to continue that work to strengthen our children's futures when we strengthen our children's minds. And, my website again is keepkarenperez.com. And if you want to get in touch with me, 813-493-7705. And I would love to hear from you.
Well, the wonderful thing about Karen Perez is she's going to be on everybody's ballot, right?
Yes.
Countywide means that you will
Countywide.
see her.
Yes.
Do you have an opponent of any kind?
Yes, I do. And
So there will be a primary?
there will be a primary.
Okay. So do you know the primary date?
Yes. No, I don't. I should have, but I
Okay,
don't
but
know.
that's okay. So keep in mind that I believe it could be August.
Yes, actually, yes.
Yes, I believe it's in August. So keep in mind that we lose a lot of candidates, good candidates, during the primary season.
Yeah.
So make sure that you know who is running in your district, wherever you live.
Yeah.
If you live in Hillsborough County, please look at the Supervisor of Elections website for Hillsborough County. If you are moving, make sure you let the county know that you moved.
Exactly.
We have a great Supervisor of Elections, Craig Latimer, who can help you with all of those things. He's available on Facebook. You can call him up. They're so helpful.
Absolutely.
Get registered. There is a lot of acrobatics we're going to have to go through in the state of Florida because we have a governor who doesn't want you to vote. It's a
Correct.
sad thing.
Correct.
He does not want black and brown people to vote because he only won by less than 1 point. So we got to get good people in office. Please vote for Karen Perez.
And remember, mental wellness affects all of us, not just some of us.
Everybody needs to have a good mind to function. Amen. Bye. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Yes, Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. This
Have
is
a
our
safe
holiday
and wonderful
show.
Christmas and a happy and safe New Year.
Amen. All right.